Everything you need to know about running faster without getting injured can be explained with this simple setup. We'll start by working out what each of these workouts are and why they're so important. Working our way backwards, workout number 3 is called strides. I've seen a ton of mistakes when runners implement strides. I'll get to that in a second. For now, here is a step-by-step guide on what you need. Step 1, assign these to the end of a shorter, easier run. For example, Monday might be a 30-minute easy run with strides attached to the end. Step 2, find an area where you can run for about 25 to 30 seconds, free of potholes, driveways, and heavy foot traffic. Step 3 is to start slowly and gradually accelerate over 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, hold your top desired speed for about 8 to 10 seconds. Before using the remaining 5 seconds to slow down. Step 4 is to take 1 to 2 minutes to recover. Once you feel fresh and your heart rate's back under control, repeat that same process. Now, keep in mind that I said the top desired speed instead of just saying your maximal sprint. I'll come to that in a second, but let me explain why these workouts are so beneficial. Firstly, running at a really fast speed exposes your body to a stimulus that it just doesn't get during your normal training week. When you adapt to this stimulus, you become more resilient as a runner. On top of that, your running technique becomes more efficient. For example, strides improve your explosive power. They also increase your tendon stiffness, and it forces you to eliminate any inefficient habits in your running style, such as overstriding or having some hunched over postures, which these benefits then carry over into your slower running. And because you Run Smarter scholars want every last tip to help you run and train smarter, let's uncover common mistakes runners make with this type of workout. Mistake number 1 is people confusing strides with 100-meter sprints. This isn't an all-out effort, it is a controlled, deliberate practice to expose your body to fast speeds without a drop in quality. Mistake number 2 is people trying to save time by implementing strides in the middle of their run. And instead of resting for 1 to 2 minutes, they just resume a light jog just to try and get in as much mileage as possible. This puts people into a grey zone of intensity, meaning they're too fatigued during the stride workout and can't reap the same benefits that I mentioned earlier. Mistake number 3 are runners who add strides at a level that exceeds their capabilities. So don't underestimate the requirements of your body to run at these fast speeds, despite how short the distance is. This is why I say top desired speed, because if you're new to strides or if you've been managing an injury, you want to start on the conservative side of things. Start with 4 stride repeats, and your top desired speed might be about 70% of your full out maximum sprint. And if that's successful, next week you can try a progression, which would be just a slightly harder session. Moving on, workout number 2 involves interval sessions, which typically refers to repeats of holding a faster speed followed by a recovery jog. We even have data that can predict a faster marathon time if an athlete is implementing this type of workout. This paper also uncovered one other training session that is more significant, but I'll talk about that next. So here is what you need to do. Once a week, start with a 5 to 10 minute easy warm-up and choose one of these short interval sessions based on your experience and fitness level. For example, you can do 5 rounds of a 2-minute fast run followed by a 2-minute recovery jog. Your fast run should match about a 7 out of 10 intensity, while the recovery is closer to a 2 or 3 out of 10. Now, these type of workouts don't allow you to run as fast as, say, strides, but it does really challenge your cardiovascular system and allows you to become more familiar with, say, the lactic acid buildup in your legs. Mistake number 1 with interval training is runners starting out way too hard and they get closer to 8 or 9 out of 10 intensity, and then they just deteriorate towards the end of the interval, or they drop in quality when comparing their first interval to their last. If this is you, customize each session by either lowering the intensity, giving yourself fewer repeats, or just extending that recovery jog time. Mistake number 2 is the lack of variety. Runners can stick to one workout every single week and then they just become complacent or they become bored. These workouts allow for flexibility and also variety. So you can mix things up with your faster intervals being of a 60-second duration of really intense stuff, or it could be like 1 kilometer hard efforts and just doing repeats of those. But keep in mind that for interval sessions, holding a harder effort for longer than 1 kilometer doesn't seem to have the same predictive power compared to intervals under 1 kilometer in length. The last mistake with interval training is solely relying on heart rate zones or like speed metrics such as like your Garmin and those sorts of things. These can be a helpful rangefinder, so you can still use them, but these things can also be influenced by elements such as caffeine, humidity, the terrain, the temperature. So you want to make sure you correlate your heart rate zones and your speed metrics with your internal perception of effort. And lastly, the workout that has been shown to have the strongest correlation with superior marathon times is high volume, slow, easy running. This may sound counterintuitive, but if you can successfully accumulate more easy mileage into your running week, you have a better chance of a stellar performance.
Which brings me to the biggest mistake runners make, and that is running too fast during their easy runs on their easy day. Who cares what people think when you put it on Strava? Don't think about that, and stop convincing yourself that running slightly faster is just gonna produce better results on race day. Instead, this intensity should feel like you can do it for hours. And as you can tell, I'm talking pretty comfortably. And once you finish this workout, you should feel like you're so fresh that you can just do it all over again.
Allow me to explain. The wide bucket here represents your slow, easy miles. This one here is your short intervals, and this little bucket here represents your strides. If you want to achieve the best marathon time, your goal throughout your training is to keep all of these buckets full, and if that's achieved, you're building overall resilience and you're providing the variety of stimuli that's required for all running energy systems for best superior performance. But beware, because if any container overflows, this represents an injury. And we're missing one more element of this analogy that represents your body recovering from each workout. And now that you Run Smarter scholars are taking on board the earlier advice and you're running really slow on your easy days, this means you are recovering quicker in your workout ones, and therefore we can add more holes. Now, as we run and accumulate load throughout the week, your goal for best performance while reducing injury risk is to strategically balance all 3 workouts, or what we call intensity distribution. A general rule of thumb is to have 80% of your entire running workload dedicated to this bucket. Otherwise, an overflow is likely. Here is an example of what a well-balanced training week might look like. Training for a marathon definitely takes a lot of time, knowledge, and energy. But this can all be in vain if you don't have a race day pace strategy or a race day fueling strategy. So keep training smarter and check these out.